Hey, welcome into another Mystery Fifth Hour presented by McCurry Van and Car Rental, the rental company you can depend on for trucks, SUVs, passenger vans, Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, Coleman on 2nd Avenue Northwest, Tuscaloosa on Skyline Boulevard, 256-559-1003. That's 256-559-1003 or McCurryRentals.com, McCurryRentals.com. Jim Dunaway is the guy that's copying me by wearing the same shirt I wore today.
One button for me, though.
I did notice that.
Yeah, Dunaway showing off that
No,
chest
not
hair.
that he's showing off the chest hair. I noticed that you guys have the same shirt
Yeah,
on.
Roback.com, code TNR20. You get 20% off your first order there. Dunaway and I both did that with the same shirt. He is Lance Taylor. Rockstar's in the penalty box there. That's what they call it in radio to try to be funny. He's in the penalty box.
It's awful.
We had so we had 20 rooms in the old fraternity house, the old Theta Chi house in Tuscaloosa. And room 20, we turned it into a bar, and it was called the penalty box.
Oh.
A bar.
Yeah, but
Did you have a full bartender or y'all just had alcohol in there?
No, we just had alcohol in there. We had a bar. We had a TV in there. But it was one of those, like, when the bars would close, which was really late, you'd stumble back there and maybe have a crew with you, and you'd have somewhere to go.
You'd say, hey, we're heading to the penalty box.
Yeah, late night, because people are like, there's not a bar open anymore. I'm like, you ain't never been to the penalty box? That was before GPS and all that kind of stuff.
It's 3 now.
Yeah, I mean, how big was it? Was it like a normal bedroom size?
So those are basically one bed. Everybody had the lofts, so the bed was up top.
Yeah.
But it was a small one room. I would say they were probably 10 by 15, not big at all.
Special knock to get in? Do you have to have a special knock? The Rockstar, they had the little thing that they
Keep the
slide
door
open.
It would depend on what was going on. Like if you had an exclusive VIP crowd, maybe you'd close the door sometimes. But I think I was probably in the penalty box more than anybody.
Really?
I'm shocked. But like, who had room 19? Were they a little upset with the noise sometimes?
Oh, yeah. So this is a true story. The guy that was next door was a guy named Russell Bibbin, who does TV in Knoxville now. And just an incredible guy, but, very, very outspoken about, his belief in Christ and being a believer and a follower, and was just an incredible.
He was put the bar next door.
He was our best athlete, but he was the one next door to the bar, and that was when I guess disco had come back a little bit. They were having disco nights, and so some of the music late night would be disco.
Could you not have changed him like room 1?
We ended up, I don't know what happened, but he was a good sport about it.
I'm honestly a little surprised you didn't take a room 19. You didn't tell Russell, hey, listen, man, upgrade. I'm going to take the room right next to the penalty box.
Yeah, it would have probably made the most sense.
And then it would have been like Andy Dufresne. One day they show up and Lance has cut a hole in the wall. So
right.
he come and go at any time.
But
The
I mean,
escape hatch.
like the next day after, whatever went on at the penalty box, he'd be like, I heard this and I heard that and I heard this.
We're going to need you to keep that to yourself.
Were you responsible for cleaning up the penalty box?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much, common courtesy that if you're the last in the penalty box, you should pick up your mess.
Yeah.
Was there a debate on the name? Like, what should we call it, guys? I mean, did penalty box win the poll?
I'll tell you how this whole thing started. Really, it was an excuse to have a late night bar.
Right.
But also Lee Tracy, who used to do Drive Time.
Whoa, Lee Tracy that's also in TV?
In
He was a
Tuscaloosa.
fraternity brother of yours?
No.
Oh.
We would sit around listening to him, and people would take turns calling him and just basically punking him. Like, hey, dude, I've been waiting like 45 minutes on that pizza. What's going on? Because they'd be like, Lee Tracy, you're live on. It might have been the penalty box. It might have been his show. Is maybe the reason we called it that. But we would just call and just.
Was it on TV?
Just hazing.
Was it on VUA?
No, it was just radio.
Just radio?
Just radio.
Because, I mean, I got to say, as a kid, people, and I used to do it and then ended up working in radio. So it's probably my punishment. But doing the old punk calls to the guys who just taking calls hot on the air. As a kid, you thought that was very, very funny.
I used to. Wasn't on the air, but I would play the music overnight for Magic 96, and I forget what floor it was on in that building. It's off Valley, and occasionally you'd get a female who'd want to come up and hang out with you, and
Interesting.
You'd have to buzz them in. You'd have to let them in, and whatever. There's a pair of binoculars. I don't know what floor it was on, 5th, 7th floor, but there's a pair of binoculars over there that you would tell them to come and stand under the street light. And you'd look down and decide
keep on moving.
I have
whether or not
never
you'd
heard
buzz
this story.
Dunaway, is that true?
Whether or not you'd buzz them in or not. Oh, 100%.
What do you mean? So you didn't know them?
They would just call the request line?
Yeah, calling the request line.
Hey, could you play some
Hey,
Van Halen
do you
and
ever
Buzz Me Up?
You ever have anybody come up here and visit you? Sometimes. Can I come up and hang out with you?
I'll go stand under that street light.
Come on up. And
So how many people actually got buzzed in?
None in my career.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the binoculars didn't lie, did they?
0 and 4.
0 and 4.
0 and 4. But the binoculars were there for a reason. Other people who did overnights allowed people up.
Rockstar is that Howard Stern show that punks that swap shop?
Tradio.
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 And what do they do?
The best one was Richard called in as a grandmother, and he called a buffet in New York and said, I'm taking my grandson to what you have. Do you have green beans? Yes, we have green beans. Good. Do you have turkey? Yes, we have turkey every day. Good. Do you have broccoli? Every day, sir. Good. You have roast beef? Yes, sir, every day. Good. And she finally goes, look, I'm going to tell you every single thing we have on the bar. And she goes and names everything from gummy bears to chocolate chips for the sundae and everything. At the end, he goes, I had to get a pen. Can you tell me that again? And she just hangs up. And it was like 4 minutes
That's
long.
the most uncomfortable, awkward thing is waiting to see how long it takes him to hang up.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh,
and you
keep
feel
going.
awful for the person on the other end, but you also laugh at it too, right?
Yeah, well, he did another thing where he overdubbed his voice saying wheelbarrow, basketball goal, and washer.
Right.
Because somebody was selling it.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, hey, I'm gonna talk about the window washer, but sir, I don't understand. The basketball goal, and he just kept saying, they go, sir, I don't, are you interested in the washer? Yes, I'm interested in, and it's just funny. And they get so frustrated, but they take every call.
I saw one online where it was some sort of religious-based show, so you feel awful about it already, though. But, I mean, they're just taking calls hot. And they get somebody is obviously it's a group, probably of fraternity brothers, like at the penalty box, that are just completely punking them. And they call in and they bait them in early. They're really good. Like, yeah, I wanted to ask you a question in the book of Genesis. And then, okay, go ahead, sir. And then, then they say something they shouldn't say on a religious show. And I mean, listen, there's part of me that's like, I really shouldn't laugh at this. But there's another part that's like, it is still pretty funny, though. I got to laugh at it.
I mean, the Jerky Boys made a ton of money on that,
They
didn't
did. They
Oh,
did.
yeah.
They had a great, 96 was like their year.
So
Came with the movie.
When I was at school at Jack State, we used to pass around we only had one. Was it Roy D. Mercer?
Yep.
Was that the name of it?
Roy D. Mercer.
Yeah, we used to pass around the tape.
American or something.
No. You're thinking of Earl Pitts.
Yeah.
That was Earl
No,
Pitts.
it was
Redneck
Roy-
American.
Wake up, America.
Wake up, America.
Was he the one, though, that he'd call and he'd be like, yeah, I was in your tire shop.
Yep,
And,
yep.
and he goes, well,
Well,
I think you're going to probably need an ass whipping.
Yeah.
I'll come down and whip that ass.
Yeah, that's the one. That was that. He was like, he goes, you gonna come do it? He goes, no, I'm gonna bring my brother. He goes, well, you bring him on. He goes, I wish my brother could hear this right now. Like, so funny. He called one guy, he bought a pair of boots and they got
You
wet.
better pack a lunch, boy, if you're coming down to see me like that with that
I mean,
attitude.
we laughed so hard at that in college. We were so easy to entertain. That was before you had a lot of choices. on cable.
Johnny Orr still has some of those tapes.
Oh, there I
We
found
play 'em-
them.
we
I
play 'em
found them
down
on
at the
YouTube.
farm, yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious, man. I could listen to those all day.
Yeah, my aunt was by there. My uncle passed away, and we
Oh,
were
I'm
down
sorry,
at your
sir.
nursing home, and I got a bone to pick with you.
Yeah, I mean, he would just, and the people would stay on the phone with him a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just threatening to come down there and whip them. And they, okay, buddy, come on. What time are you going to get here? All right, so on the Mystery Fifth Hour, we often just reminisce about things. Dunaway was asking basically a taste, a smell, a thing from your childhood summer that takes you back,
It
right?
still makes you smile.
Yeah.
There was this swimming hole, I'll call it. I don't even know where it is, but it was somewhere out past Helena on the way to somewhere.
Is
on
it
some
Blue
back
Water?
road. No, it was like Blue Water. Blue
Right.
Water, we'd go there occasionally. Remember, I'm not a good swimmer, and there's no bottom there. We'd go to this place called Cherokee Bend, and it had water slide, but it was the old metal slide, like a normal. They'd just taken it off of a
Yeah.
amusement park back in the 70s and put it on concrete and had it out in the water. And it had some other slides, but they had these video games, pinball machines that played baseball and other video games, and it was just summer for the poor kid from Alabaster. We would go there a couple of times a summer and just spend all day there. Good concession stand, playing music over the loudspeakers, and that just a memory that pops back. Anytime I'm driving down that road where I think it is out past Helena, I always think, man, I think that's where Cherokee Bend was off to the left there. And it just takes me back to a good place.
We had Crystal Springs, which people may have passed. I think it's dried up now, but it was on Highway 204, just off of 431 near Jacksonville. And on the other side of 204, you could turn and go down by a bridge, and the creek that fed Crystal Springs pulled up in the shade, and the water was frigid year-round because it was always in the shade. And I think it was like coming from an underground spring too. And somebody had built a rope swing. And
Right.
you could just swing out and fall down in the water. We would go there all the time. And it's the first place, I think I was a sophomore. It's the first time I saw somebody smoking weed. And a couple guys were smoking some weed, and they pulled out a gun and started firing off rounds. And I was like, "That's probably a good time to get out of here." Right?
Back when you were that young and you saw somebody smoking weed, it was like seeing somebody dismember a body.
It really was. It's like, oh my God, they're going straight to jail, aren't they?
That's crazy.
And then they pull out a gun and start firing off rounds, and you're like, this is probably not an ideal combo here.
Shooting cans.
Yeah, I mean, they were just shooting into the water, too, like trying to hit a fish or something. I mean, they were high on weed. I mean, what do they know?
Bulldog Bend was another place we'd go. I think that was down near Centerville, and you'd rent these big tubes, and then you'd float down the little creek, and you'd make it down so far, and my grandmother would make us get out then and walk back and do it again. We couldn't do the whole journey because she was sitting up in her chair, dipping and reading a book or something.
Yeah, two things for me. Being at the ballpark, whether it was West Homewood Park or Wald Park in Vestavia, and everything revolved around the concession stand.
Yes.
And once your game was over, it was more relaxing, and you could watch all of your other friends play. But just wearing out that concession stand and playing cup ball.
That's what I was going to say.
loved
Did you ever
cup
play
ball.
cup ball?
Oh, yes. Yeah, you'd get those wax Coke cups that were they were like an 8-ounce cup.
Yep.
And you'd get 4 or 5, and you'd just wrap one around the other. Is that the way you guys would do it?
Was somebody better at making the cup ball than others? Because you take the first one, do it, and then you put it in this way and do it, and then you put it in that way.
But you could also buy baseball cards way back in the day at the concession stand. The Suicides, Big League Chew, just all of those smells. Just
Good
really,
corn
really
dogs.
good summer memory. And then the other one, we used to stay at Holiday Inns when I was younger.
For what reason?
Yeah, when we go to the beach.
Oh, okay.
Like there was a Holiday Inn at in Fort Walton on Okaloosa Island.
Oh, not the one with the
That's
dome
Ramada Inn.
pool?
That's Ramada Inn.
Oh, Ramada
next
Inn.
door with the rock in
That's
the pool.
where the rich kids stay.
Now the domed Holiday Inn, which we stayed in, was in Navarre, Florida.
Okay, that's the one I was thinking about, yeah.
But we loved, that was when the video game and the arcade was at its height. And so we would go in and play, whether it was Joust or Pac-Man or Tempest or Dig Dug.
Like I think E.G. and Taylor it would blow their minds to think that sometimes a Friday night when we were in high school would be spent just at the arcade. That's what we'd do. We'd go hang at the arcade. It was hanging out.
We would hang out and watch Night Tracks or whatever on WTBS before we had MTV. Just wanted to watch videos all night.
Yeah. Or we'd sit in a parking lot at Loman. That's probably the memory I should have gone
Loman's?
to. Loman's Village in Hoover. You just park your car and you sit out in your car and play your stereo. And people would drive by and they'd park their car, and it was sort of a meet and greet, a hangout.
I remember off of 431 in Saks, there was a place called Magic Mountain. And it was a putt-putt course out front. And then they had a facade of a mountain, and inside was the arcade. And my parents wouldn't let me go.
Plane crashed in the mountain too. Didn't they have a fake plane? We had a fake plane at Magic Mountain.
Oh, did you really? Oh, so it was. It might have been
Vestavia.
might have been a string of Magic Mountain. See, I always assumed Saks had the only one. I should have known better, Rockstar. But my parents, like my brother could go, but I was not of age to go yet. My parents wouldn't just cut me loose in Magic Mountain. I don't know how old I had to turn, but I remember I can't wait till I get old enough to go to Magic Mountain. And the freaking place went out of business
Closed.
before I could get old enough to go there. I remember when I got old enough, thought it was a car lot now. Yeah. Somebody put used cars out there. Mike Lipscomb or somebody was selling used cars.
Loman's Village or whatever it's called. It was
Service merchandise was over there.
merchandise was there, but you'd be hanging out, you'd be talking to girls, and then all of a sudden, Nikki would get in the car with Dawn, and they'd drive off, probably up to Star Lake.
Nikki and Dawn?
Nikki and Dawn?
Damn.
That's a different movie, Don.
Nikki was the guy.
Oh, okay.
Dawn was the girl.
Rockstar.
Yeah.
Nikki was the
Then
guy.
they'd come back
Settle down.
eventually. And
All
pop a beer,
disheveled.
smoke a cig.
Nikki, your
Did
hair's
y'all
a little
do
messed up.
the? So we did a lot of hotel parties.
We did not do that.
I never did a hotel party.
Yeah,
The
we
parking
did
lot
that.
was free. The hotel was not.
Well, I mean, but we would all pitch in, $10 or whatever it was. I mean, you get a room for $100 back then.
But I thought they only rent rooms to adults. Did you have to get an adult?
Oh no, we had IDs.
Of course you did. Yes.
Sir, you don't look over 15. How are you 35?
So you would just.
And I remember the first thing is people take the smoke alarm out because every room had a smoke alarm.
Yeah, so you could light them up.
Yep.
Did you have a party room and a makeout room?
Wow.
I don't recall that.
One in the
now,
same.
when we were like in 7th and 8th grade, there was a makeout room at the different parties you would go to.
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah. That was the designated makeout room.
Where the lights stayed low?
Absolutely.
Where the lights stay low.
It's like a
Nikki and
country
Dawn
song.
just walk in there.
That was a great
Well, the
time.
best would be Dunaway asking one of the girls to go to the makeout room.
No, I'm good, thank you.
I shot my shot. I got turned down a lot.
So Star Lake, we used to cruise Broad Street in Gadsden, which Broad Street was like a divided. It was a downtown, like it was a business district in Gadsden, right? But all the businesses are closed. It was like a retail area, and it was 4 lanes, but it had a median with so. You would just go all the way up, you'd hook a U, and you'd come all the way back down, and you'd ride around, and then people would pull over and park, and it was...
We did that at Eastwood Mall, too.
Did you?
Yeah.
So this was probably like a 3 or 4 block stretch, and the goal was obviously you got guys in cars and girls sitting on the side, and you tried to pair up there like Nikki and Dawn would, right?
Yep.
But I mean, so many times we just go cruise around and never do anything but drive around in that one little circle. But we do it for hours.
Thought it was the best thing.
All the girls were hard chargers because I think I've told you guys we would go to Brookwood Mall,
right?
Like in middle school, and you would go up in the woods behind Brookwood Mall.
That
and
blows
then
me away.
Mr. Gaddy's on Valley Avenue. You would go behind Mr. Gaddy's or the Holiday Skate Center.
You were always going behind somewhere.
Always. Yeah, you couldn't find me in the establishments. He's out back.
Where's Lance? He's out back. Who's he with?
Star Lake was overrated, though. It was heavily policed.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a residential area.
Yeah, I preferred newly building residential areas where you just go out where the road ends. And
Wasn't that a Holiday Inn right there, too? There was a hotel right there at Star Lake.
There was a Holiday Inn right by the I-65.
Yeah, but I thought that was on Star Lake.
Yeah, no, Star Lake is down.
It's back by Hoover Country Club.
Yeah, by Hoover Country. You can actually see Hoover Country Club.
Okay, but there is a body
of
of water behind that hotel.
Oh, there may be. I don't know. But Star Lake it's a residential area.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those houses were there then.
Not that it shied me away. If that's where if someone wanted to go,
was that the Hoover Girl? But I guess it was Berry High School then. Was that where they all were?
Yeah, that's where they would. If you left Lomans or Loveman's, whatever it was, that's usually where they wanted to go. Now, the country girls down in Thompson, we would go out to where subdivisions, like they were building on to Navajo Hills or in that area. They were always end of streets where there are no lights and no houses being built. It was always a good place to hang out. Or, there's a lot of strip mining going on back then. You just go out on one of the great, probably Drummond Coal or great U.S. Steel, landscaping. There's just nothing out there but dirt roads. Just go out there forever.
Bury a body out there.
Could.
No comment?
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
It was scary when I didn't like going that far out. I preferred the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
A little civilization. That far out, I felt like it needed to be a team effort.
We never hung out. Like I always heard these stories about people hanging out on golf courses during the summer. We never did that.
I lived on a golf course growing up, and you would occasionally hear, you could hear off in the distance, you could hear some giggling and.
Did y'all ever pool jump?
Yeah, I never.
We would do it at apartment complexes.
I'll tell you why I did it one time, and the reason we didn't do it again. So I had a pretty big neighborhood growing up, Indian Oaks and Saks, and there were probably every third house had a pool, maybe every fourth house had a pool, and most of them would just have a chain link fence around them. I mean, it was nothing fancy. And so some buddies of mine went pool jumping, and they were like, "This is a blast! You got to go." So I went one time. Well, then the next time they went, the third time they went in our neighborhood, somebody unloaded a shotgun behind them, and that brought the pool jumping to an end. Nobody was interested after that. It was really very little payoff on that.
Yeah, I did the apartment complex the last time. Before I met Maggie, the last time I left a bar with someone, we went skinny dipping in
Now I've been skinny dipping.
a Highway 280 location.
So pool jumping to me was like you'd just go from one pool to another in the neighborhood.
No, we would pretty much do the apartment complexes.
Yeah.
Because they had hot tubs, a lot of them too.
Yeah, hot tubs. Yeah. And it was me, this guy who used to work baggage for Southwest Airlines, and then we picked up 2 girls, and we went up there.
The baggage boy.
No, wait, it gets worse. He was more attractive than me. Let's put it this way.
The baggage guy at Southwest was better looking than you.
So we're up there, and we're skinny dipping, and I'm making out with the one girl, but she keeps looking over her shoulder at the other couple making out, and I was like,
"Was it your baggage guy?"
I was like, "What are you doing? Would you rather be with him?" She was like, "Sorta." And I was like, so I walked to the middle of the pool, shallow end, of course, and I couldn't swim. And I was like, God, what's his name? Can't remember his name now. I was like, hey, let's swap for a little bit.
Yeah, turn on the baggage carousel and spin her over.
His girl was like, hell no.
But she came over for a little bit.
Yeah.
Transfer portal.
Oh, wow.
She thought she was the pilot over there. Who you work for? Southwest Airlines. Ooh, I got a pilot.
Yeah.
Rockstar, you got anything?
No, for me, we would always go to old Brookwood Mall. The biggest thing was talking on AM or instant messenger because we didn't have phones back then, and meeting to go eat, whether you're going to Euro Wraps, which was amazing, or Sbarro, and then going to somebody's house to play like Bond, play GoldenEye or something like that.
So when you say Old Brookwood Mall, the same location as the...
Yeah, it was just, it was different. It was,
no, I do remember when they did like
it was
the
carpeted.
remodel.
First of all, it was open.
yeah, carpeted.
Yeah.
Had a great food court, had an arcade,
That was great.
had a music store.
Aladdin's Castle.
KB Toys. It was awesome. The
So
Briary upstairs.
I didn't grow up over here. Is that where all the kids went, was Brookwood?
Well, it depends
the
on where
Over the Mountain kids?
all the Mountain Brook kids actually went to Century Plaza.
Did they?
Yeah. More
Yeah.
Vestavia Homewood were at Brookwood.
Galleria was a special occasion. I never went to the Galleria. It's always Brookwood.
Galleria was kind of melting pot, though. That brought in a lot of people.
Too big. Like, it was too
You had
far.
people from Atlanta. come
Oh,
to the
gosh, yeah.
Galleria,
I mean, Calhoun County, we used to come over to
Well,
the
they used to see all
Galleria.
those church buses. Like, no, food court's going to be destroyed today.
It did get packed.
Yeah.
Would you go to Barney's Coffee? I used to love the smell of Barney's Coffee.
You walk by the cinnamon, Cindy
Oh,
Cinnamon.
Cindy Cinnamon Rolls. is
So
nice.
good. So good. All right. So those are some great summer memories. A lot of making out.
Yep, switching.
A lot of what technically is a legal activity. I
Yeah.
think pool jumping is trespassing, right?
It is.
I don't think I've ever pool jumped.
We got arrested one night at
yeah?
Homewood PD at it wasn't Old Creek. What was it? Maybe it was Knob Creek. No, it wasn't Knob Creek. I forgot what it was. Anyway, it was the apartment complex on Berry Road in Green Springs. And I remember I got away, but my buddy Michael Flynn and Masha Mustagi both got nabbed.
Masha was Chelsea, wasn't he?
Masha was a chick.
Mustagi?
Yeah.
That's a girl?
That was a girl, yeah.
Masha Mustagi, huh? Have you kept up with her?
Iranian. Nope. Last I heard is she was with a ballet group.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Masha.
Masha Mustagi.
Incredibly random, Lance. All right, that is the Mystery Fifth Hour. It's presented by McCurry Van Car Rental. If you need a car, van, or truck, rent from McCurry. They got all kinds of vehicles to choose from. Trucks, SUVs, and passenger vans. Easy in, easy out. Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, Coleman on 2nd Avenue Northwest, and Tuscaloosa on Skyland Boulevard, 256-559-1003 or McCurryRentals.com. That's McCurryRentals.com.
One day, let's just read names and we guess the occupation. Like Masha Mustagi. What would that have been?
Ballet group. I mean, that kind of fits with that name.
I would have gone
honestly.
pro wrestler.
Well, when you told me girl, I wouldn't have gone pro wrestler.
I mean, ballet. I mean, you probably.
Oh, I didn't follow that.
Masha.
I mean, she's not touring the Soviet Union right now.
Although it sounds like
Not ramped up edition of the Nutcracker.
Hell yes, crack it again.
If you're watching us on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, set your alerts so you know when we're live, and give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate that. Follow us on all social media at Next Round Live. Thank you for joining us for the Mystery Fifth Hour.